I want to call the April 9, 2018 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting to order. Commissioner Castlen, would you lead us in a prayer and a pledge?
I will. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings you bestowed upon us as individuals, as a community, and as a nation. We ask you to send your Holy Spirit to guide us as we do the work of the county this week, this day. May what we do be pleasing to you. We pray for all our citizens that we represent, especially those who are in most need of aid and assistance. We ask you to bless each one of them according to their needs. We pray these things in the name of Jesus, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioner, and once again I want to welcome everyone to our April 9, 2018 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting. Jenny, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Item 1, consideration for presentation, a proclamation for April 2018 to be Child Abuse Awareness Month.
Whereas April is annually recognized throughout our nation as Child Abuse Prevention Month, and whereas preventing child abuse and neglect is a community problem that depends on community involvement, and whereas child maltreatment occurs when people find themselves in stressful situations without community resources and don't know how to cope, and whereas child abuse and neglect can be reduced by making sure each family has the support they need to raise their children in a healthy environment, and whereas child abuse is considered to be one of our nation's most serious public health problems, with scientific studies documenting the link between abuse and neglect to a wide range of medical, emotional, psychological, and behavioral disorders, and whereas all citizens should be involved in efforts to support families raising children in a safe, nurturing environment, and whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships created among state and local government agencies, schools, faith communities, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Daviess County Judge Executive Al Mattingly, do hereby proclaim April 2018 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Daviess County, Kentucky, and urge all citizens to support our local families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening our community. And we have someone here to accept it this morning. Would you want to come forward? Oh, Christy and Jennifer. Yep, come on. I knew that. Kind of just went blank. Yeah, come on down. Let's do it. We need to get our pictures on Facebook, right, George? Remember this, anything on Facebook is true, all right?
Thank you, Judge. We are privileged to be here today. My name is Christy Clark. I am the Community Collaboration for Children Program Coordinator at the GRAD office, which is a child abuse prevention program. We are glad to be here and honored to accept this proclamation today. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and thank you guys for what you do. And I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone in our community for what they do trying to prevent child abuse. I firmly believe what I just read. When folks are stressed, that's when we see the greatest instance of child abuse. So thank you again for what you do. Guys, I would be remiss, and ladies, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize a very special guest. Judge Executive Brad Snyder from Henderson County is here, and he's going to speak to us in just a little bit. Next item.
B, Daviess County Extension District 1819 budget.
You coming up to talk to us? Nah, you don't have to. Folks, in your packet, you have a copy of the budget. This is a special governmental entity. These folks present their budget to us. We do not vote on the budget. I would tell you that I serve on the board And Clint will tell you I'm pretty hard on these folks. I make sure that they follow all good business practices and the things that we have to do here at Fiscal Court as well. And I'm proud to say that they voted not to take any tax increase again this year. So good job, Extension. And I would invite some of you guys to an Extension council meeting and just to see what they do. There's a lot of things. It's funny, probably one of the best. I always say that the Western Kentucky Botanical Gardens is the best kept secret in this community. The Extension Council is probably one of the best kept secrets in Daviess County. If you have any question or comment, Clint's here. He can answer it if I can.
I just have one, and you can answer.
Okay.
Are there employees considered state employees?
Clint?
Clint Hardy, the Extension Agent for Agriculture here in Daviess County. We are all employees of the University of Kentucky. There are 3 agent positions that are salaried by state tax dollars. 2 agent positions and all county staff positions are facilitated through our Extension District tax revenue. So we're not we're all University of Kentucky employees. 3 agent position salaries are paid for through state tax dollars. The remaining agents and staff are county tax dollars.
So you're not going to get the increases for the pension?
We're not in the state pension program, thankfully.
That question came up at our last meeting, and they were not involved. I invited them in, and they respectfully declined. Just shows you how smart they are. Any other question or comment? Clint, if I fail to remember, tell everyone what a good job they're doing. We appreciate it, and you're welcome to stay the rest of the meeting, or you can leave.
Oh, I'll stay. I don't get to these very often.
Well, you know, folks, I said he was smart, and now look what he's doing. Next item, Jenny.
C, Carl Sheperd regarding volunteer organizations active in disaster, or VOAD.
Okay, Carl, while you're coming up, I saw VOAD on there, and then I said, what is a VOAD? And it turned out it was a toad on the road. Well, just a little humor. Yes. Did you just get that, Charlie? Okay. You're on.
Okay. Since we're in fiscal court, I guess the first thing I should point out is VOAD is the source of a whole lot of free labor for y'all in this county. VOAD, the name says an awful lot. We're volunteers and we're organized to assist in disasters. In any disaster, many people want to help. And VOAD is here to organize these folks so that we can make the best use of the facilities these folks have, the personnel they have, and try to avoid duplication, which happens so often. We're also here to facilitate training of the personnel in all phases of disaster relief, so that when a disaster does occur, these folks are actually trained to participate. VOAD was formed here in this county back in September of 2010 through the efforts of the EMA office and the Kentucky State VOAD office. In a disaster, VOAD will be activated by our EMA office by calling the VOAD chair or vice chair to the EOC. VOAD is made up of local volunteer organizations, primarily churches, service clubs, nonprofit governmental agencies that want to help in a disaster. The officers in VOAD are a chair, vice chair, and a secretary. VOAD was initially charged with taking care of 2 of the biggest distractions that happen in a disaster. 1, volunteers coming in from all over wanting to help. And 2, truckloads of supply coming in unannounced and unrequested. To solve the first problem, the Volunteer Reception Center was formed. All volunteers now are sent to this center where they're processed, determined where they can be best used, and sent out to where they're truly needed. First Presbyterian Church has accepted this role, and they have over 40 people now in their church that are fully trained and tested to perform this valuable service. They are now also training Trinity Episcopal Church folks as their backup. Once a disaster makes the news, then we start getting donations. Trucks full of donations start arriving. Unfortunately, they often have items that are not needed or in such quantity that they're not truly useful or in a form that can be easily distributed. So we get a whole bunch of mess that has to be sorted out and put in some kind of order so it can be picked up by people. I have a picture then on the slide most of you have showing people lined up in Joplin, Missouri after their tornadoes waiting to get assistance. Lewis Lane Baptist Church is our emergency distribution center. They have performed this task since the tornado back in 2000, and their staff is trained and fully prepared to perform this task of handling emergency distribution. Those are the two primary tasks that we were assigned. Now, sheltering, which is the next task that we're talking about, Red Cross has a congressional mandate to provide sheltering during disasters. But here in Kentucky, due to the recent reorganizations, we now only have 3 cities where Red Cross is housed. One of those is here in Owensboro. Our Owensboro office, however, has to cover 23 counties. So when we have disasters, as we've had already this year, they are spread so thin that they are not able to meet all of the needs. So VOAD has been tasked with being able to set up and operate shelters for the first 72 hours of any disaster. So that's what we're working toward at this time. There are 3 different types of shelters that we have. The first is the Red Cross managed, and Good Shepherd and First Baptist fall in this category. The second one is the Red Cross Partner Association. Heritage Baptist and River Tree Churches both fall in that category. And then totally independent of Red Cross are the Owensboro Christian Church and Panther Creek Church, Baptist Church. Red Cross still trains all the people in any of these facilities, whatever they may be. A lot of churches are willing and anxious to participate. We have over 200 churches here in Owensboro, and we had about 50 of them come to a recent meeting we had and want to get involved and help with us. So we are making great progress in the sheltering. Another major drain on EMA personnel during a disaster is answering calls that come in for help from the general public. So we formed a call center. This group of trained telephone operators work out of the EMA office. In a disaster, they receive calls from the community and assign them different priorities. These requests for assistance then are passed to the VOAD officer on duty, who prioritizes them and calls in for action. At the present time, these operators are furnished by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the Catholic Church. We're in the process now of forming 2 more committees, the Food Committee and the Long-Term Recovery Committee. The Food Committee is responsible for seeing that meals are prepared and delivered to where they're needed. This includes providing food to shelters, as well as feeding first responders and other groups that come to assist in disasters. It also includes coordinating mobile kitchens from the Red Cross and Salvation Army and other sources. It is currently identifying churches here in our community that have kitchens large enough to prepare large numbers of meals and getting their cooks trained and their facilities approved by the health department. The Long-Term Recovery Committee is a new one we need to form, and we need on that committee people from the government, private sector, social service, and faith-based units. We need to cover all economic and cultural diversity and get people that have good leadership skills to manage these areas. They include administration, construction management, communications, case management, donation management, and spiritual care. The fiscal agent for us for all of this will be Lewis Lane Baptist Church. As you can see, VOAD is basically organized by committees. The heart of VOAD is the executive committee, which consists of the 3 officers and then a member from each of the other committees. Also included on this are representatives from the EMA, Red Cross, Salvation Army, GRAD, Green River Health District, County Parks, and the City of Owensboro. All of these make up this committee. We have other subcommittees I haven't mentioned. We have the Special Needs Access Committee that deals with all the wheelchair and other access needs that happen in all kinds of disaster situations. And then another major concern are animal and pets. So many people will not leave their pets and come to shelters. So we have to find an alternate way of handling both small and large animals. And we are well on top of that process right now. For the future, for this coming year, we are going to be trying to complete more surveys of these churches to make sure they can in fact be shelters, and then get agreements with the churches and Red Cross so that they can function in that fashion. We want to train each of these churches teams. We need a team of 5 to 7 people from each church that get the specific training that know how to operate these shelters. We want to staff and organize the food committee and establish this long-term recovery committee. We're also in the process of trying to get the current shelters that we have so we can bring our mobile generators to them and they'll have power during loss of power situations. Are there any questions I could answer?
Commissioners?
I have a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say this is one of the most amazing presentations we've had. This is amazing what y'all have done. You know, it's this whole community needs to be very thankful for all the time and energy y'all spent putting this together. This is, I just want to say thank you.
Well, I think the name says it all. We're all volunteers and we're organized. That's our job, to get organized so we make the best use of what's out there. And these people want to help. I love Owensboro because anytime we have a disaster, people come out of the woodwork to help us. We just need to organize them and train them so we can make the best use of them. And that's what we're all about.
Well, Ms. Sheperd, thank you for that presentation. And one thing that you said that stood out was you have what's called volunteer overload. I remember several years ago, commissioners, when they had a tornado up in eastern Kentucky, and one of the problems they had was so many people showing up and not being able to use them properly, and materials coming in, not being able to get it distributed. So, and I'm sure that you work in concert with Vicki Connor. Vicki, thank you for what you do through the EMA back there. And I echo what Commissioner Watson said. It's pretty amazing when you get people who aren't paid a penny and the dedication that they have for their community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jenny, next item.
D, Treasurer's Report for February 2018.
Commissioners, you have a copy, or no, we're waiting for the treasurer. Go ahead.
Cash balance at the end of February was $32,401,646. Of that, the general fund is $16,717,987. I can report that all funds are performing within the expected level. I had nothing to add at this time.
Question for you. I asked you, I think earlier, that's a rather high balance in cash in the general fund. Do you want to explain why?
Because most of your revenues, and as far as taxes go, come in December and January. So January, February, March, the first quarter will be our highest cash balance to be used up in operations for the rest of the year until you hit the next receipt period.
Okay, so anybody out there listening or watching, don't come in and ask for funds. I'll tell you, we don't have any. Any other question or comment, commissioners? I saw the fire chief over there licking his lips just thinking about that new fire truck, right? Okay, next item.
Item 2, consideration for approval, A, minutes of the March 13, 2018 court meeting.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioners, you all had a copy of the minutes in your possession for some time. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
B, all claims for all departments.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and second. Again, commissioners, you've had a copy of all the bills due and payable by Daviess County Fiscal Court in your possession for a while. Any questions of the treasurer? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
C, resolution 4, 2018 regarding transportation of non-public school students.
Move to approve.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Mr. Hendricks.
Fiscal Court has participated for many, many years in a program that allows non-public school students to ride Daviess County buses. The reason that the resolution is here is the state reimburses the county a large percentage. Last year, I think it's pushing 90% of the cost that's incurred to provide that, which I believe was a little over $200,000. And our revenue reimbursed back from the state was about $193,000. In order to get that reimbursement, I must file a number of documents. One is this resolution, which states that Daviess County did indeed participate in that program, did provide transportation to those students, plans to continue offering rides to those students, and I will provide a contract between the fiscal court and Daviess County Public Schools that shows the amounts, and then in May I'll have to make another filing where we show the actual expenditures incurred for this fiscal year. So this is normal business. We do it annually. It is so that we can get reimbursed for this program by the state. I would recommend approval.
Question or comment? Just for your information, Commissioners, in the upcoming fiscal year, or the state budget, they kick the money out of the Transportation Department or Transportation budget that would provide these funds. A lot of folks who have non-public school students in their communities lobbied and raised 9 kinds of cane, and the money was put back in the transportation budget. Now, unfortunately, the transportation budget has not been passed by the General Assembly, so that was not one of the budgets that was vetoed by the governor today. But I am confident that that money will be forthcoming and continue to exist. Any other question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
D, MOA with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet and Daviess County Detention Center regarding the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet program, work program.
Motion approved.
Second. I have a motion and second. Don't know that anyone over there is prepared to talk about it. David, do you want to try?
Yes, I believe it was last year, Judge, that the Department of Highways met with Jailer Osborne at that time and asked if we would institute this program. The state, as you know, the Department of Highways has had a number of budget cuts, so their ability to maintain highway right-of-ways was greatly reduced with their personnel. They agreed to cover the cost of a deputy jailer if the jail would agree to assign that deputy to these crews. So it's really win-win for everybody. The highway department gets roads, right-of-ways maintained that otherwise wouldn't be, and they reimburse the cost of a deputy.
Difference being, there used to be a program similar to this. The difference being that the state, KYTC, provided their own oversight, and we had inmates driving off in trucks and lawnmowers and steamrollers and things like that. We were very happy to accommodate them, but we had to put a jailer, a deputy jailer with them.
As we are aware now in our operations, no inmates are allowed to operate movable equipment unless there is a detention center deputy on site.
That is correct.
And that was what has happened to the state.
So I think this is a win-win for everybody involved. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
E, approval to advertise for the following bids. Bid 5, 2018 gas system expansion construction project at the landfill. 6, 2018 bulk delivered fuels. 7, 2018 ready mix concrete. 8, 2018 culvert pipe. 9, 2018 crushed limestone. 10-18 tire repair and maintenance services. 11-18 janitorial services for county administrative facilities. 12-18 janitorial services for the Morton J. Holbrook Judicial Center.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, this is just approval to advertise for these bids. These are yearly bids that we have. If you have any question or comment, Mr. Johnson, the purchasing agent, would be happy to answer them. I know I had asked him, if you recall, in some other bids, there was a concern about the parameters not being either broad enough, Jordan, or we didn't give them enough information, and we've attempted to address that in a couple of these. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
F, hire Larry Worth, Matthew Terry, and Alexis Ames as seasonal park attendants, effective upon successful completion of pre-employment screenings.
Move to approve.
Second. I have a motion and second. Jenny, do you have anything to say regarding this, other than it's getting harder to find part-time seasonal park attendants? We have expanded our scope. We are advertising with other agencies in the community that we think perhaps would have some people who are looking for work, temporary work. So hopefully that's going to help. Any other question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Consideration for appointment A, Laurel Beatty to the Daviess County Parks Board, term 4/9/18 to 4/1/2021.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioners, she is replacing Brooks Lower, who served a partial term. I want to thank Brooks for that service, and I'm sure that Ms. Beatty will do a good job going forward. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Carlin Gregory to the Ohio County Water Board, term 4/1/18 to 4/1/2022, and that is his correct name, Carlin Gregory.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Mr. Gregory, or Mr. Carlin Gregory, or Gregory Carlin?
Carlin Gregory.
Carlin Gregory. Mr. Gregory is replacing Mr. Whitehouse, who served 2 terms. I think that's the maximum that you can serve on that board before you have to take a term off. I want to thank Mr. Whitehouse for his service, and I know Mr. Gregory will do well going forward. Any question or comment? And by the way, we provide a member of that board because they serve some of the citizens in southeast Daviess County, David? Pleasant Ridge area. Right. Any other comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Consideration for discussion, A, other business to be brought before the Daviess County Fiscal Court.
And I'm sure there is none.
B, comments by Henderson County Judge Executive Brad Schneider.
Judge, you're on.
Thank you, Judge Mattingly, members of the court. I just wanted to take a few moments to personally bring my thank yous for your assistance in helping Henderson County folks who live in the Reed Beals area clean up from the recent floods. We asked very graciously if Judge Mattingly and your team at the landfill would accept a temporary discount for us to be able to help folks get rid of flood damaged items in their homes, like drywall and appliances and things like that are hard for people to take care of, and it was quickly agreed upon, and more so than the small discount, just the willingness to help us when we needed some assistance, and the knowledge that in the future, we will gladly return the favor when we can, and that for a young judge, a relatively rookie judge, to know that we have a lot of cooperation in the Grad region was good to know, and I just wanted to take time to come and personally say thank you.
Judge, you're very welcome on behalf of this court and all the citizens of Daviess County. We were pleased that we could come to the assistance of those folks. Anybody that's gone through a flood knows the heartache and the disruption that occurs, and we all know that flood insurance doesn't come anywhere near covering the cost of damage to your home or to your property. You guys do a good job in Henderson County. I think the Grad region, all the counties work together, and we believe that anything that's good for one of the counties is good for all the counties. So anytime that you would need some help, and be ready, because I'm sure I will be calling on you someday. Okay.
More than happy. You have my number. It's good to know. I hope that things are bouncing back quickly here in Daviess County and Henderson County. Our Reed Beals is, despite a little bit of rising water over the last couple of days, it's not nearly the issue that we had a month ago. We did not experience any looting or any malfeasance like that during a period of floods, even though we did a lot of work in the Reed Beals area helping people evacuate their homes. And the follow-up, the cleanup, which you assisted with, is just as important sometimes as initial action. So thank you again, and from Henderson County Fiscal Court, we truly appreciate it.
You're welcome, Judge. And by the way, at your last meeting and the meeting before that, did they say hi to me? one of them said they were going to, Bruce Todd, I think, was going to say, hi, Judge,
I think
you
it was
watching?
Bruce Putman. We know you watch, so
That's
we wanted
exactly
to
right.
give you a personal hello. You're
Okay.
welcome to come in person anytime.
Okay, well, I may do that one day, just jump up in disguise and raise Cain with them all. But you'll know who it is.
That's right. I'll give you away.
All right.
Thank you again.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge.
C, public comments.
All right, this is the time during our meeting in which we invite the public to come forward, identify yourself, and you're welcome to comment on anything other than what was on the agenda. Oh, come on, guys. Judge, you want to give it another try? Next item.
D, comments by Daviess Fiscal Court.
Commissioner Coger.
No comment, Judge.
Commissioner Wyman.
I just wanted to thank Judge Snyder for coming over. I appreciate you coming and spending your personal time, and it means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. That's well said. Commissioner Castlen.
I've had a handful of calls from citizens concerned with their condition of roads, and I passed those on to Mark Brasher. One of them in particular, he said they're getting on this week, I believe. So just want citizens to know we've got a number of roads out there that are in considerably poor shape. Is that the adequate way to say it, Mark? Close. And we'll get to all of them.
I would say that they're in worse shape than we wish they were. They were in pretty good shape before the good Lord decided to cover them with water, not once, but some of them twice, right, Mark?
Yes.
And we had like 100 roads that were at one time or another covered by water. The latest list I got was 12, 13, 14 roads, again, covered by water. So it's been a year to try to deal with it. So any other comments?
No, sir.
Jenny? Oh, I guess it's me. For my friend who was here not too long ago, Daniel Sosh, talking about the legalization of marijuana, I wanted, when he guaranteed us that House Bill 166 was going to pass, I just am not here to say anything other than it didn't pass, and I suspect it will not pass with the 2 days that they have left. Sorry, Daniel. I did see Daniel at the meeting at Western Kentucky University. And he stood up and spoke about it again. So there is a group out there who believe that medical marijuana is the end-all and be-all of local governments, and I would say, Commissioner Castlen, probably the people that called you about the roads were more concerned about the roads than being able to grow marijuana. Brett Guthrie took quite a lashing from a couple of those folks, but I thought he handled it well. And that's, I think, the position that we all take here with local government. We have no control over that. It's all controlled through the state and actually through the federal government, and I'm glad of that. Just for the folks' knowledge out there, at one time the General Assembly passed a bill that was going to phase in the increases in pensions, and then it got vetoed by the governor not too long ago. The General Assembly then found it expedient to increase taxes on various and sundry services in the community in order to balance the budget. Then they gave some tax rebates or decreased the taxes, and the budget bill and the revenue bill were both vetoed by the governor today. So I don't know what's going on in Frankfort. It's my intent to go to Frankfort tomorrow with some folks from CAGO, some other judges, and some commissioners and magistrates, and try to talk to the governor's chief of staff and tell them how very important it is to all local governments about phasing in the increases in the pension cost. We're not denying that the cost is there. We're not denying that we don't have a dog in that fight. We're just asking. I can tell you that some communities, some cities, some counties will go bankrupt if they're forced to come up with a 50% increase in what they put in. I was going to say that Jenny Harsty thinking outside of the box, has come up with a new place to look for employees for the Parks Department, seasonal employees, and I appreciate that. Bids will be received for the Friendly Village Sewer Extension on the 18th of April. How long ago did we start working on that, Commissioner? 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Two and a half years ago. Finally, we're going to receive bids, and most of that is going to be, some of it's going to be direct burial or boring. A lot of it is a pressure line, pump station line, running a state right away along Highway 81, and I don't expect it to take a long time to do. But just to put it in perspective, 5.3 miles of pipe. 5.3 miles of pipe to provide some relief to those 67 homes in that community. So relief is coming. Just for your information, not to stir anything up, but I suspect that we are going to have the proposition of a needle exchange in Daviess County. I suspect it's going to probably come up in Henderson County, larger county. One of the things that we're starting to see, I know Northern Kentucky is having an increase in incidence of needle-borne diseases in their area. Same thing down here. A lot of the meth is now being injected, and it doesn't matter what they're injecting, you still have the issue of the viral diseases carried by the needles. I serve on the health department board. I know that board has in the past voted to investigate needle exchange. It has to come before the Daviess County Fiscal Court in the city of Owensboro. If we institute it, before we do that, there will be ample time to question and ask why. I think that we, as county government, have a responsibility to protect public health, and this is the one of them. Even though we're protecting the public health of people who are doing things that they shouldn't be doing, we still have that responsibility. So if there's no other business to be brought before Daviess County Fiscal Court, without exception, we're adjourned.